The Canadian Pacific Railway continues its negotiations with local cities, offering city settlement money as a proposed merger between the Canadian Pacific and Kansas City Southern Railways moves forward.
But now the city of Camanche says it's not getting its fair share. News 8's Nina Burns joins us live from the studio, and she spoke with city officials about their settlement offer. Nina?
Last week we watched as the city of Davenport accepted a $10 million settlement for the Canadian Pacific Railway, joining the city of Bettendorf and Muscatine, who both received $3 million in settlements. Today I spoke to officials from Camanche who say the railway offered them just $200,000.
Negotiations between Camanche city officials and the Canadian Pacific Railway started back in March.
Well, they're not really even offering us $200,000. They're offering us $200,000 for their protection to close two crossings.
The railway initially offering $200,000 in exchange of the city closing off 2 of their 7 railroad crossings, and $300,000 if they close 3.
And we told them absolutely not. There's no way. We have too much condensed population around these railroad crossings.
An offer City Administrator Andrew Kita says isn't enough.
None of that was acceptable to us. We would have considered doing at least 2 crossings if they would provide quiet zones for us and the funding for quiet zones. Their estimation for the 5 crossings it would take was $1.1 million.
The railway's final offer coming in at just a fraction of that $1.1 million.
I couldn't believe they were willing to just offer $200,000.
But public safety is Camanche Mayor Austin Pruitt's main concern.
And at the end of the day, we have a quarter of our town on that side of the railroad tracks.
About 1,200 people live on the other side of the tracks.
Should a train derail in our area and block all 7 crossings, we have 1,200 people who have no access to get out of the city other than the river.
Not only blocking access for medical emergencies,
but now you're talking about bringing crude oil from the north to the south through our community.
Saying the price tag for this merger and the safety issues shouldn't fall on the shoulders of Camanche.
Should be on the shoulders of the people who are creating that inconvenience and that risk. And that is not the citizens of this community. It is solely on Canadian Pacific and Kansas City Southern.
Now, the city of Camanche says they will be rejecting that $200,000 settlement money, and they will be hosting a public hearing for the community and their members on the railway merger on August 23rd.
Now, the city rejected the settlement money, but what does that mean in terms of the merger happening in the city?
Well, if a city accepts or rejects settlement money, that's about all it means. If a city accepts the settlement money, that means they understand and accept that the merger is going to happen within their city. But when a city rejects the settlement, that won't have that much of an impact on the likelihood of the merger happening within their city. That decision is up to the federal government.
All right, Nina, thank you. Another public hearing on the merger will be held right here in the Quad Cities on September 13th at the Davenport River Center.